they will never listen to you no matter what you do. That's true. Like they will never listen to you no matter what you do, no matter how good you are, no matter how you fix things. They will never listen to you. They will never listen to you. I mean, that's the problem with small restaurants, and that's the reason why small restaurants, they never get to grow. So that's not something that you can change. Leave it, right? But if you're into those things like management, like cost controlling things, just genuinely, fundamentally learn how to fix things. I think that's the best environment where you're at. If your restaurant has so many messed up shit and there's so many things that you gotta fix, just genuinely learn how to fix things, and that skill will last, and that skill will come back to you. You will use those skills back to somebody else who actually need those things. Hey guys, welcome to Business Chef Podcast, where we talk about how to make content, personal brand, and monetize your skills online other than working in the kitchen, so that you can have multiple income sources to feed your family, live better life, and most importantly, love yourself as a chef. I'm on my journey building $1 million empire, documenting my process, and I'm sharing with all of you. So please share and enjoy. I don't know how many of you guys have the same experience as me. This last 10 years of working in the restaurant industry, in the kitchen, out of the 10 years, that 4 years and a half, almost 5 years, I was in like those small mom and pop, not even a mom and pop, like small restaurants. So some of them were able to grow to a massive, big restaurants in the end. Some of them, they still stay small. So like there were just so many different types of small restaurants that I used to work during that 4 and 5 years. The another 5 years that I worked was a big, like, were big corporate companies. So I didn't have to worry about any like pays. I didn't have to worry about any like, shitty environment, shitty people, because most of the time those big corporate people are like, they meet certain standards, I would say. Right? And those people who you would see in a small places, they're less likely to meet those standards in terms of, it can be skills, it can be character traits, right? My personal experience when it comes to working with small restaurants, because I had a lot of experience in, big corporate restaurants, and a lot of my knowledge were focused in like cost controlling, inventory management, managing people. I was more into those kind of stuff, like management, rather than like just cooking itself. So I thought I was quite useful. I thought I was I could provide a lot of value to those small restaurants. So before, when I was working in those like small restaurants, like during the COVID, when I was like laid off, I got nothing else to do. I was like bored, and I just worked in this small random restaurants, and started working and started fixing things, because if you actually go to a small restaurant as a chef, there's so many things that you gotta fix. There's so many things that that just bothers you so bad. Either it's like hygiene, either it's like people, either it's like equipment. There's so many things that actually bother you. If you have experience from proper organized kitchen, organized corporate companies, organizations, there are so many things that bother you in small places. Like, I understand there are certain limitations, there are certain things that they're not able to do because they're small size. But also at the same time, there are things that they have to follow. There are things that once they follow those manuals and procedures, they can save a whole lot of money, or they can make a lot of money. But the things that they just don't do is either because they don't know how to do it, or they're just lazy. They just don't want to do it. My personal experience with small places, it doesn't matter how experienced you are, doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, even though you prove that you are saving money for them, they don't listen. Like small restaurant owners, they don't fucking listen. And that's what I actually figured out. And I was thinking, what should like junior chefs, I would say, like chefs who want to be in a consulting area, who want to be like, who likes fixing stuff, who likes fixing management so that the company makes more money. Like there's a lot of chefs out there who enjoys doing that, rather than cooking itself, like culinary skills itself. Like culinary skill is one thing, I think, because I'm gonna elaborate more about like chef's career in the future. But at certain point, every chefs have to pivot their career to a certain direction. It can be like becoming executive chef at the corporate companies, because at that point you will be working behind the desk more than working in the field build in the actual kitchen. So that can be a pivot too. Like that is also considered a pivot. So every chefs, every cooks in this world, if you're a junior cook, you got to listen to this too. Like at certain point in your life, you got to make a pivot. And there are like millions of ways out there where you can pivot. There are millions of directions out there and you can pivot anywhere you want. A lot of them, like people who just, not really like working in the kitchen, like doing the physical labor is not really their thing. A lot of them, they go to R&D, industries. They do more of research and development, recipe development stuff. Also, many people, they do more like a management consulting things. Yeah, so it's just like depending on chefs, depending on people, I would say, it's just the area of interest that appeals, what makes them more fun, I would say. So yes, so I think management consulting and management, cost controlling, inventory management, I think it's just like one of the area of interest, area of profession that chefs can harness. And that's also one of the path where chefs can in the future also pivot their way to. But anyways, yeah. So people who are more interested in those area, in those profession, they're like we like as a person who's one of them, we like fixing things. Like we love to see those problems that's happening in those restaurants in the kitchen. And we love fixing things. We love to organize things. We love to take a look at their financials, the waste, the inventory, the food costs, the PMix. Like we love to look at those things. But my experience working in small restaurants, I never had any owner who actually listened to what I say, even though that I actually proved by numbers, by paper, that I was saving the money for them, I was reducing the waste. They just never listened because of their ego. Maybe some of you, I see a lot of chefs, like even my colleagues, quite a lot of them, they don't really have an experience also in small restaurant. And I don't think that's also 100% necessary too, but it depends on people, because every people, they build their experience in different environment, and a lot of them also don't really have that small restaurant experience. And for those of you who don't really know, for those of you who know, you might know as well. For those of you who don't really know, small restaurants, they don't really do that cost controlling, inventory management. They don't do shit. They don't do anything. So what it actually means, as you would know, they don't really know where the money is getting wasted. They don't really control the cost. They don't really build recipes properly. They don't build systems. So they waste money, not just on food costs, but on labor. Even their operation system is so unorganized. It's so hectic. They just waste so much time and money on labor and food cost. So people who have worked in corporate, like bigger restaurants, they know the procedure, right? So it's not that difficult to actually analyze the problem for small restaurants and just see how the numbers come out and just take action based on that. So if some of the ingredients are being wasted, or there's too much waste, and the recipes are wrong, the pricing lists are wrong, like there's so many, like there's theft, there's so many problems that can happen, and it's not that difficult to fix those numbers and those realistic management problems in small restaurants who has like 2 people in their team, like 3 people in their team. It's not that difficult. But the thing is, a lot of owners, they don't really listen. Like they don't listen. Like even though someone is showing me that they're saving the cost, they don't fucking listen. And there was the big aha moment for me personally after experiencing those kind of restaurants. And that's also one of the big reasons why I started branding myself. I started doing my social media marketing and branding my personal brand online, because once you realize how marketing works, you also realize how inefficient and how ineffective what I was doing. The fundamental of marketing is also like getting your products or getting your services known to other people, but also at the same time is increasing the demand to your favor. That's also one of the big factor and one of the big role of a marketing, I would say. So the reason why I started branding online, and the reason why I strongly encourage you chefs, like you people, to start branding yourself online, is because, again, you can increase the demand. Like you can provide value to people who actually need your knowledge. And fortunately, social media, the algorithm does that for you, finding people that need your content, that need your knowledge. So all you have to do is basically create content and provide value. So it helps. It really helps you to find your ideal, I would say, clients, or I would say people who are potentially a right fit with you. And also for those of you who are like trying to fix things in small restaurants and don't really work, and the owners don't really listen to you, and like don't be so pessimistic. That's normal, because for small restaurant owners, like most of the time, not all, I've seen so many passionate restaurant owners, a lot of good people, but like from business perspective, the reason why those small mom and pop restaurant owners, they don't really grow it because it's they are the problem, right? Like they don't really know how to hire the right people. They don't really know how to recruit the right people. They don't really know how to recruit talents. They don't really know how to listen. They don't really know how to put their ego down. So even though that someone who has a lot more experience than you say that this is what you need to do and this is how this is saving money, like they're showing the data, they still don't listen. So it's not your problem anymore. It's the owner's problem. So if you're, in a small restaurant, like trying to fix things and it don't really work, or like the owners don't really listen, don't be pessimistic. Brand yourself online. Share what you guys know in online and find people, like make people contact you, or you can actually, like at that point, if you start doing that, at that point, you will find a way. Like you will find a way to reach out to more people that potentially can be a right fit to work with you, or like a lot of restaurants who need help and who are ready, who are willing to listen to someone who has more experience than themselves will actually contact you. They'll email you to help them. I strongly encourage you guys to do that, because just, branding yourself in social media is just one of the many ways. Like one of the many ways. Like you really don't have to do it. Like if it's not your thing, there are many other ways to do it. But the fundamental behind the branding in social media is knowing how to communicate your value to other people. Like there's so many strategies and tactics to communicate your value to other people. It can be public speech, right? It can be public speech. It can be sales, right? It can be talking in front of camera like this. It can be door-to-door sales. It can be sales calls, or it can be persuasion skill. It can be negotiation skills, and like social media skill is also just one of them, right? And if you just nail that, and if you do that, I guarantee you, it's gonna drastically increase your value, and it's actually gonna help you to work with people who you really want. And that's how actually I did it. That's how actually I work with people who I really want to work with. At the point where I started branding myself and sharing my knowledge and skills that I know in social media, I started getting emails from restaurant owners who actually need those help. I would help those people, not just getting a job at a random restaurant and trying to help them and just they was like, no, I don't need that. So if you're in a restaurant, right, small restaurant, as I mentioned, if you're a small restaurant, not really working, they don't really listen to you. Number one thing is to just consider about branding yourself online and sharing the values, sharing your knowledge and expertise and skills online. That way you can attract more people who actually need your expertise. Number two is anyways, like you have no choice about to spend your time in that company or in that restaurant for the next certain amount of time. Don't be so pessimistic. Just fix things for free. Like don't expect any value. Like don't expect any monetary returns, or don't even expect to get some rewards from them, right? Just fix things for free, because they will never listen to you no matter what you do. That's true. Like they will never listen to you no matter what you do, no matter how good you are, no matter how you fix things. They will never listen to you. They will never listen to you. I mean, that's the problem with small restaurants, and that's the reason why small restaurants, they never get to grow. So that's not something that you can change. Leave it, right? But if you're into those things like management, like cost controlling things, just genuinely, fundamentally learn how to fix things. I think that's the best environment where you're at. If your restaurant has so many messed up shit and there's so many things that you gotta fix, just genuinely learn how to fix things, and that skill will last, and that skill will come back to you. You will use those skills back to somebody else who actually need those things. So build those assets meaning skills in that case, in that context. So build those assets and use it in the future. So and is a great practice area, is an arena, right? Is a boot camp where you can actually practice. And those are the two things that I did it myself. I did it in my experience when I was in the small restaurants, when I was in like really shitty places where environments don't really help, hopeless environment. I just gave up. Giving up doesn't mean that not doing anything. I just gave up on my mind. Like I don't really expect these owners or these people to reward me or just do anything for me. I would just genuinely learn how to do things, how to fix things, how to actually learn how things work in that bad environment, because there's no better place in this world to learn fast and better than working in a shitty environment, in my opinion. So yes, 100% make a use of those shitty environment if you're actually in it. If you cannot change the environment, just make those knowledge and your experience as an asset to use in the future. And I think that's what you should do if you're in really in a bad environment where you cannot really change you cannot really change much. I think that's what you really need to do. Definitely, you should consider how to communicate your value to other people more effectively, more efficiently. Just like working in a kitchen, doing the same thing but faster, more efficient, doing less moves. Even in terms of those like life strategy, I think that's how we all need to approach a certain point of our life.
Real quick, guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, I don't run any ads on this, I don't sell anything, so the only ads that I have is that help me spread the words so that we can help more chefs monetize their skills online, make more money, and have their own successful restaurants. The only way we do that is we rate, review, and share this podcast. If you find this podcast valuable, leave a review. It takes 5 seconds, and most importantly, it may change the world for the better.